Welcome to SEPSA Talk. I am Evans Apia Kisi, the host of SEPSA Talk. SEPSA is Center for Better Society Advocacy and Research Africa. SEPSA Africa is a non-profit organization that believes in a better society for all. We in SEPSA Africa believe that a better society begins with you and I. Hashtag, a better society begins with me. For more information, please log on to www.sepsaafrica.org. Please follow us on the various social media platforms: YouTube, SEPSA Talk, Facebook at SEPSA Africa, Instagram, SEPSA Africa, and Twitter at SEPSA Africa. Like always, today we bring you another interesting discussion on the topic teenage pregnancy on the rise in Ghana, national implications and solutions. According to the Ghana Health Service statistics, the country recorded 110,000 teenage pregnancies in the year 2020. Amongst the causes includes peer pressure, poverty, lack of educational opportunities, inadequate parental control, and lack of sex education. On this episode of SEPSA Talk, we unpack the implications of the rising teenage pregnancy for national development and the solutions thereof to build a better society for all. And to help us deal with such an important issue are Memuna Rabiu. She's currently the president of Lola Ladies of Liberty Alliance Ghana. She's also a former recruitment manager for YAFO, that is Young Africans for Opportunity. She holds Bachelor of Science in Psychology from the University of Cape Coast, Ghana. And her interest lies in youth and women empowerment. I must say it's a pleasure to host you. Welcome to SEPSA Talk, Memuna Rabiu.
Thank you.
Great. And our next
Thank you.
guest, great. And our
Hello.
next guest is Ms. Comfort Ejewa. She's the founder of Love Child Foundation. She's also the CEO of Dr. Cook Catering Services. She's currently a medical student at the University of Ghana Medical School. She holds Bachelor of Science in Therapy Radiography from the University of Ghana, Legon. Her interest lies in teenage pregnancy and adolescent reproductive health. It's also a pleasure to host you for the first time on SEPSA Talk. Welcome to SEPSA Talk, Comfort Ejewa. If you could unmute your audio for us, Comfort.
Thank you so much.
Great. It's a pleasure. And to our fellow Sepsarians, like we always do, we're streaming live on Facebook as well. And then, of course, later on, it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't also forget to like our Facebook page, and then let your comments and your questions come in as we have our guest here to address them for you. Now, so I'll begin right away, and probably I would start with you, Comfort. As you heard from the synopsis that we read, a rise in teenage pregnancy is skyrocketing. And the question we ask is, what do you consider as the most pressing cause for the upsurge in teenage pregnancy? Of course, we know it is not new, but there seems to be an upsurge, and we're wondering what this could be. What are some of the causes of these sudden increase in the numbers?
As you said earlier, teenage pregnancy is not something new. It's been an issue we are all trying to fight. And then considering the upsurge in the rate or the number of cases. I still believe it's still based on our previous courses, and that the fact that these young girls are growing, and it's a stage they all get to. And I mean, when you get to that stage, some way, somehow, you just have to do that. And I mean, we all went through it. And then the fact that these girls are curious when they get to this age, they want to experiment and see what is going on. Now, when you go to social media, what you see is people flaunting their relationship, I mean, what they have and all that. And when these girls get to see it, they become interested and they become curious, and they want to experiment. They want to try and see if they can also be in the position of what they see on social media. And there again, the issue of poverty when it comes to rural communities. I mean, these girls need money to fit into the society. These girls need money to buy sanitary pads. And if they are not getting it from their parents, or if they are not getting it from their family, and there is a guy or there is a man who is available to provide it for them, they feel like they owe this person. And so what they need to do is to, involve in sex as a form of commitment or as a form of appreciation for whatever the person is doing for them. And these result in pregnancies. And also, most of them do not even know their much about their reproductive health. And so most of them do not even know when they are ovulating, when they are safe to have sex, when they are not safe to have sex. Even though we preach abstinence, but we all know that some of these girls cannot abstain. And our issue has been with people who cannot abstain. And it's like, because we've preached that abstinence is good, we've actually forgotten about those who cannot abstain from sex. And so education on adolescent reproductive health is also an issue here, I think so.
All right, thank you very much, Comfort Ejewa, for your insightful inputs already. So for you, nothing new when it comes to the courses. Perhaps maybe the issue of the influence of social media might be a bit new, but still, out of curiosity, poverty, these are the main causes for the increase in teenage pregnancy. I just wanted to ask you a follow-up. I mean, when you talk about the social media, any particular social media platform that you feel could be a reason why girls are more curious and want to experiment? Is because, of course, we know the good and then the bad of social media, but any particular social media that you think it's contributing to this curiosity on the side of teenage girls who would want to experiment this?
Honestly, I wouldn't want to be specific because of we all know, but we all know the social medias we have in Ghana.
Okay.
And now when you go to such social medias, apart from networking with people, we all see what goes on there. And these young girls are on it too. And so they see whatever goes on there. But I won't be specific to mention a particular social media name or something. Yeah.
I can understand you. So thank you very much. I'll definitely come back to you to ask more questions on the implications of these to national development. Memuna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. I think that your network is better now. So pretty much the same question. You've heard from what Comfort said. She makes the point that, in fact, there's nothing new when it comes to the courses, perhaps apart from the issue of social media, which is also playing a major role in the upsurge in teenage pregnancy. What's your view on the major causes of the rise in teenage pregnancy that we are experiencing in Ghana today?
And thank you very much for the question. As Ejewa, if I rightly mentioned the name, mentioned, And teenage pregnancy, the upsurge of it is not new. Like, we've been living with it. Yeah. So the only thing is, I think I would start with briefing us about what's at all teenage pregnancy is. Okay. So teenage pregnancy is refers to the female adolescents becoming pregnant between the ages of 13 and 19, actually engaging in sexual activities, to be precise. So it can be intentional or unintentional. So when I say it's intentional, you know, these are our societies now, based on let's say our cultural values. Nowadays, our cultures, mostly in the developing countries, they see teenage pregnancy in their perspective as the right thing to do. When you get married, like at an early age, it is intentional, but then you've not reached the age of you getting pregnant, but then you are forced to get married, or you willingly get married because of the customs and your tradition. So it's intentional. So we then have the unintentional, which are more. They are more than the intentional ones. So I can say basically on the upsurge of teenage pregnancy in Ghana, let's see, the causes of teenage pregnancy in Ghana is with regards to peer pressure. Like, it's very, very, it's a big problem. I think, let's say a society like Nima, example, I'm so passionate about remote areas like that. Okay. Most youths or adult teenagers grow up in such communities, and they would have to mingle with other children who are in the same community, who would in one way or the other influence them. And they try to experiment themselves in sexual activities. Do you understand? And we have sexual abuse. We are in a community where older people just abuse teenagers, and there's nothing anyone can do. When they try to go to the police station and talk about it, they'll be like, oh, they should do it a family issue, which is very bad. I've seen a lot of people who have faced such problems. And we also have low social economic statuses. You see, mostly our parents, you know, we are in a developing country. Our parents, some of them are not well to do. Okay, some of them are single parents. So raising their children becomes a problem. So when they get to their teens, they would have no option than to engage in certain activities that will bring them money. And what do you think that activities will be? Definitely to have boyfriends who would help them, who would give them money, for them to even go and give some to their parents. So I think this is what is increasing. And not to forget our social media influence. Nowadays, this is the major problem which causes the increase of teenage pregnancy. I think there should be a kind of rules guiding it, because it's becoming very serious. Because nowadays, even the teenagers, even children as early as 5 years have phones. We have bloggers who bring up sexual pictures on social medias. Children are able to access like porn easily. Like, there are no restrictions. Even our media platforms, let's talk about radio stations, they're able to bring this kind of topics. They won't wait for it to be later into the evening, like let's say 2, because I think even if they hold the program at 11 in the night, that's where even teenagers chat with their boyfriends and all that. It's still not the time. So I think social media, like my colleague just said, is a great influence, because that's the easiest way. It's just television, radio. And so that's my contribution on that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you also for your wonderful insights. And I mean, pretty much the same causes as was highlighted by Comfort is what you've also emphasized. But you bring in another interesting dimension to the discussion, where you talked about the two main, should I say, types of teenage pregnancy. And thanks for the definition that you gave us already. You talked about the unintentional and then the intentional types of teenage pregnancy. and you go ahead to say that the unintentional is more. But I was wondering whether indeed we have intentional teenage pregnancy. What would that be? Because I was wondering who would deliberately want to get pregnant at her teenage age, if you could throw more light on that.
Okay, so I was saying that for the intentional,
Mm-hmm.
we in these developing countries, we have our customs and traditions.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say I'm a Muslim. We have specific tribes that would marry off their children who are teen. They'll force them to get married. Okay, so
Yeah.
that one, the girl or the teen girl would come to an agreement with the parents, and she would eventually come to accept that they are marrying her off at her teen age. So it's kind of an intentional something. She'll get married to the older man, and she will get pregnant. So it's intentional. So the society accepts that. So when she gets pregnant and she delivers, it's acceptable. That makes it intentional. Okay. So those that are not intentional, which we know that our society frown against, when you don't get married, that's the perception they have. When you don't get married and you get pregnant at your teen age, it's a problem. When you are married in those customs, those kind of let's say society or tribe, and you get problem. So that's the explanation.
Great. Thank you. Thank you very much, Memuna, for your contribution as well. So I turn my attention to you, Comfort. I mean, we'll come to how to deal with it, which Memuna already started with issues of regulating social media and the likes. But what are the implications of these teenage pregnancy? It might not be a question to be asked, but maybe for most people, there's no problem with teenage pregnancy, especially when Memuna talks about the issue of intention. I wanted to ask her, then that's not a problem, right? Because if I'm asked to marry an older man and I get pregnant at that age, then what's the implication? So why are we worried? Do we really need to be worried of whether intentional or unintentional teenage pregnancy? At least people bring forth kids to this world, and you never know what these kids would become in future. So for those of us, or for people who feel that there's nothing wrong with teenagers getting pregnant, why are we so worried? What are the implications of the upsurge in teenage pregnancy on our national development?
Okay, thank you for the question. Um, the issue is that these teenagers, most of them are not, let's say, well educated, both in the formal and informal way. Aside that, when they bring these kids to life, they are unable to take care of these kids. And so it's like a child giving birth to a child. Who is going to control who? You see. And so because, first of all, they are not well educated, they don't have a job, they are not able to take care of their kids. These kids grow up and they also take after their mother, what their mother did. So if you were 12 years and you gave birth to a girl who you can't even cater for, then this girl will get to 10 years and she also starts going out to get money to take care of herself. And the ripple effect is what the issue is where my problem is. And at the end, we are going to have like a generation who are not sort of prepared, who are not well empowered, who are not educated to sort of move the nation. And at the end, it's not really going to help us. That's what I think.
Okay, so thank you again. So for you, I think you made a very wonderful quote there. I mean, a child gives birth to a child, and so who takes care of the child then, or who takes care of the children then? But so what happens if so I still come back to what Memuna talked about, the intentional one. So the intentional one, if you have an elder man who is capable of taking care of the child and the child, then this should be fine, right? I mean, not Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Not exactly, but I think we all know that being in school or being educated is like a way of sort of a
It
family
will be a
planning.
problem. Yeah.
So it is
Memuna,
known
I'll
that
come back to you soon. So great. So, Comfort, please go ahead.
so it is known that girls who are well educated or who have like a higher form of education are less likely to have more kids than people who are not educated. So if you start giving birth at say 15 years and you're going to have menopause at 45, then it looks like from 15 years to 45, you are going to have over 10 children or even more. And then, I mean, you don't have any form of income, or even if your partner, as in the intentional ones, your partner is working. We all know the current situation in Ghana now. I mean, how are you going to take care of 10 children? And I mean, controlling them is also an issue. So basically, that's what I think.
Mm. I thank you very much, and I like the perspective you brought in. I mean, issues of population growth, the fact that people who are less educated are most likely to have or to bear more children. It's also something that theory supports it, even though one could always argue for or against such theories. But that's interesting. I'll come back to pick your point on two controversial issues. They might sound a bit trivial. There are others who have suggested that the upsurge in teenage pregnancy could be as a result of COVID-19, and some have also blamed it on free senior high school. So I'll come back to pick your thought on, they sound a bit trivial to some people, but I'll get your thought on that, what you think, whether COVID-19 and also free senior high, with a double track, whether this has caused the upsurge in teenage pregnancy or not. Great. So Memuna, same question in terms of implications. What are your thoughts? What do you think could be the implications of this teenage pregnancy on national development? Comfort already mentioned things around the fact that they might not be able to train up the child in the way the child is supposed to go, because it's a child taking care of a child. Who controls who? And the issue of also population growth that could also have major negative consequences on national development. What are your thoughts? What could be the implications, and are there any implications at all?
Thank you very much. Okay, so the major implications of teenage pregnancy in the development of Ghana. You see, we have intentional and the unintentional, though, but then we still have implications on them because they are teenagers. So some of the implications I would mention are a decreased level of literate youth in the country. Okay. We have, as we say, education is what's the key to success. So as our country is now developing, and we would be, when we have more increased rates of teenagers, it means we would have teenagers who would eventually be dropouts of school, and they wouldn't go to school. Do you understand? So there will be matters of national interest, whereby internationally, like the whole world, our views and our knowledge would be needed. But then because of our youth, it started from the beginning. We say charity begins at home, because we have a problem from the beginning. We don't have enough teenagers who can help out. We start to have problems. It affects our technological know-how. Like, let's say we have we have gold, okay, but then we don't have the youth. We don't have youths who are able to operate machines, but we only learn books. You understand?
Mm. Well, I think we're having a bit of difficulty with Memuna, but I'm sure she'll get back soon. And
A decreased level of literacy.
okay.
Literacy, you understand?
All right.
So the second point I have is it increases the rates of social vices. So, sorry?
No, go ahead. We're having some difficulty.
So the
but this
second
is
point
fine.
is the increased rates of social vices. Okay, so when our teenagers
Okay, great. I'm sure that the producers would check with Memuna to work on her internet. She's but I don't know whether you want to already give it a bite. The trivia but controversial question that I asked you, Comfort. What's your take on? Maybe we should pick COVID-19 first. The reason why people are saying that is because a lot of these teenage girls were asked to stay at home. I mean, during that peak period somewhere, forgotten, I think somewhere in June, July, thereabout. Correct me if I'm wrong with that. But and also with the issue of double track system because of how it works. Some people find it a bit trivial, though, but it's still something that has been raised by some people in the society and just wanted to get your thought. But I think Memuna is back, so maybe you can hold on. Memuna.
Yes, I'm back.
Yeah, so you were making the point that.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. So you were making the point that it contributes to low literacy rates and then also increase in social vices. So if you could continue from there for us.
So, okay, thank you. So the increase in social vices, as teenagers get pregnant and then their kids grow up, there is no quality education or there is no education. They end up engaging themselves in social vices, which scares away potential investors. Okay, it scares away potential investors. You know, as a country, you would need people who would help bring up scholarship deals for children to go out to learn more. So when there are vices in the country, all this wouldn't happen. You get it? True. So I have my third point to be the high development cost for communities. You understand? So when government allocates money to be used for a different project, that's, let's say, infrastructure, like a school, then we will be battling with teenage pregnancy. It will be a major problem because there is an increase. So they would push into the health sector because sometimes it's not only about pregnancy. It comes with what? STIs too, if you are not lucky. You get me? So they would have to go and be battling with diseases and all that with the little money they have to use it to do another developmental project, which is very bad. And I have also the point of effects of what seeking assistance from developed countries all the time. You will seek assistance from them. You know, some people is like we are, I don't know how to say it. You go in for something, but then someone gives you a condition. Okay, you want money. Okay, so I want you to legalize gays. You understand? You would have no option than to, if you're not careful as a country, you would have no option than to accept the money and implement. You get me? So this really, really is a problem. And also there might be increased rates of death in the country, which is very bad. We need more youth. We need more youth in order to be able to develop our country. And as my other colleague said, it brings about rapid population growth, which at the end round brings about unemployment, pressure on infrastructures, then the effect of what it affects our education. We don't get quality education because you understand, because of the increased number of let's say adolescents or children who wants to be educated. So thank you. That's my point.
All right, thank you very much, Memuna. Those were great points out there. So basically for you, the major implications would include low literacy rate and also increase in social vices. You also made a very interesting kind of link to issues of aid and development, the fact that this might also increase this might increase the our look for grants or aid from developed countries because of the low literacy rate, which would not offer the opportunity for most people to be skilled and be able to help develop the nation very well. I would come back to you also for the same question that I'm going to Comfort now to ask, the controversial, but I find it a bit trivial though. What your take is about the link between COVID-19 and the increase in teenage pregnancy, as well as the link between the double track system and teenage pregnancy. So Comfort, if you could do that in about a minute or two for me, what's your take?
Honestly, I don't know how to link these issues, but my questions are: during the lockdown, were the parents available? Were parents responsible enough for their girls who were in the house? Were these girls being taken care of? Were they provided with the basic needs they needed to stay at home, such as sanitary towels and then basic food and things? If they were provided with these things, then I don't think we could associate the lockdown with the increased surge. But if these questions cannot be answered, then I can say that there could be a link between the COVID-19 lockdown and the increased surge in teenage pregnancy rate in Ghana now.
Hmm. And I'm sure the same thing would also go for the double track, right? If parents are able to provide these things because you're staying at home, then you would not draw that link between. Memuna, what's your take as well?
Okay, my take on the COVID-19, the link to it with teenage pregnancy. I can't. I don't want to. I can't say per se. The COVID has led to increase in teenage pregnancy, or it has or it hasn't. But then you can look at certain trends. When you look at the like let's say the negative aspects of the COVID. Okay, so when you look at the negative aspects, you could see that most parents lose their livelihood. Okay, they couldn't fend for their children. So it was a negative aspect. Okay. And also we have, some people are already in the poverty situation already. And when it adds up, no going out, no going to the market and all that, it affects them. And in the long way, it also affects their kids. Okay. And because the teens were home, let's talk about the track system. Because they were home, like they get to, we have these ghetto guys and all that, or these ghetto ladies, when your kids are in, like let's say a Zongo community, you get me? They end up talking to them because they have nothing doing at home. Because they don't have money, they don't get books for the kids. The only thing they will do is to cook. They will go and roam and come. That's all. So what do they go and do? They go and chat with their friends who are not educated. Some are educated, but then peer pressure becomes very rampant in this kind of situation. So it led to I think some increase of number of teenage pregnancy. So that's the negative aspects of it, I can say. Right. But for the positive aspects too, when you look at those who have higher socioeconomic statuses, that was where their children were able to even give more money. You understand? Because everything is there for them, like everything is there. So with this one, you look at those who don't have the money and those who have money. it was good for those who had money, enough money. And it was quite not good for those who didn't have money. Okay, so that's how it worked. But then that's why we have this talk, at least to make people aware of what is happening. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. And that's
Thank you.
a way to end, because our next segment, we're going to look at how to address these problems. And if you are just joining us, it's SEPSA Talk, and today we are discussing the rise in teenage pregnancy in Ghana, its implications for national development, and the solutions thereof. So I'll read some few messages. One from Lord Edu says, in my opinion, poverty is a critical reason why it is increasing. I agree with Comfort. Fauzia Haruna says, Ejewa with some love reaction. Eric says, the issue is that when they marry them off, their education also comes to an end. And at that age too, they are not matured enough to bring forth babies, and that could seriously, that could pose health implications on the teenage girl. We must encourage cultures like Depot by the Krobos, where it's a taboo for teenage girls to become pregnant. This ensures that parents take up the upbringing of their teenage girls very seriously. So we'll look at the solutions, but some commenters are already suggesting ways to deal with that by looking at our culture and going back to the Depot. And there is also a question here by AK Mensa, but that's actually what would be the start of the round 2. So at this very round, we're going to look at the ways to address teenage pregnancy, the rise or the increase in teenage pregnancy that we have in Ghana. And I would start with you, Comfort, again, and I would want you to look at the short-term solution. Within the short term, what can we do? But here's a question from AK Mensa that's interesting. He says that, thanks so much for the great contributions from the guests. My question is, what worked for you both, Ekuya Jewa and Memuna Rabiu, to avoid getting pregnant at the teenage age? What worked for you as girls to get this level? So maybe if you can start with that, just a minute. What do you think worked for you to have avoided getting pregnant at your teenage age?
Well, for me, I must say I had good family support, and my brothers especially were there for me. In fact, they were on my neck every time. I remember when I was in junior high school and I had a discussion. In fact, my brother had a discussion with me concerning relationship and all that. And he was like, you can't have a boyfriend in junior high school. And so you need to get to senior high school before you can get a boyfriend. And if you're able to get to senior high school before you get a boyfriend, before you have a boyfriend, I'm going to buy a phone for you. So for me, I was looking up to getting a phone from my brother. And so I was a bit careful concerning that. And secondly, I didn't grow up with my mother. And so I noticed that, or I thought that if I should have a child as a teenager, I mean, who is going to take care of the child? Because I felt I wasn't capable enough, I wasn't ready enough to take care of a child. And so the support and the fact that my mother wasn't available when I was a teenager actually motivated me to stay away from teenage pregnancy. Yeah.
That's an interesting one, but I bet your brother's advice perhaps was to lure you not to have a boyfriend, because at senior high school you were still a teenager. So did you get a boyfriend at senior high school?
Do you know, when I got to senior high school, it was the same condition.
Not until you get
Like
to the
if you're
university.
able to, exactly, if you're able to finish senior high school without a boyfriend or without getting pregnant, I'm going to buy a laptop for you. And I didn't have a laptop then, so I was looking up to having a laptop.
Wow.
And so, I mean, my brothers did well, I must say.
Great, great. Wherever you are, brother, good job. Memuna, what about you? What worked? Comfort talks about the fact that she had a lot of parental support. She brings in the story of the senior brother, in my opinion. not deceiving her per se, but kind of encouraging her with some kind of false incentives for her not to get a boyfriend or to get pregnant until the university stage. What about you? What worked for you?
Thank you very much. Okay. For me, what worked for me was I think my personality. My personality. Because whenever I tell my friends I never dated until I was done with my SHS and I was about getting to the university, they will be like, wow, yes, because I feel my personality. This was how I was. I was the quiet type, and I was very shy. Okay, I was very quiet and shy, and mostly you see me frown. I remember in JHS, my name is Mimuna, right? So he would tease me like, where Muna, and so that's so Muna. So that was where, like when he started, I got angry more, and to the extent that I have to change to start putting on a smiling face. I realized that what could push away men from me was to have that quiet moment alone, to be quiet, not to like and be so engaging with men. And I was always focused on my books. And I think my religious background too was part. My parents, my mom didn't felt like it wasn't time for her to be talking to me about sex education, which now I think it wasn't the best for me. You get it? It's not the best. You should start it from when the child is very young. You have to tell the child everything, the implications and all that. Then you scare the person. But then I didn't get that. But then what I got was the religious background. My father was very religious. So in Islam, we have this makaranta. I was a very regular student there. That's the Islamic studies. You go there, they give you teachings about fornication and all that. So I was very, very, very careful. So that was mine. So I actually started dating after my SHS and I was about getting to the university. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Very interesting perspective out there also. So for you, it was more of religion being focused, but I think that also with comfort, there's an overlapping strategy here. Both of you was more of a decision to wait until, let's say, university, even though comfort zone was influenced by the senior brother. Yours was more of your personality, the fact that you are Memuna, so you were always frowning. But I hope you stopped frowning now. Anyway, so let's come to the solutions devoid of your own personal experiences, which are great. I think Memuna already started with one point already when she was saying that for her, she feels that her parents could have started with reproductive health education or sex education at the very initial stages instead of waiting until we get old. We know this is also a problem in Ghana where parents usually do not want to talk about sex. So what's the way forward in addressing the increase in teenage pregnancy that we have in Ghana? Again, I begin with you, Comfort.
Thank you so much. For the way forward, I think in the short term, it should be mentorship, 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 mentorship. Because I remember when I was in senior high school, I think we have this session where the school invites our seniors who are in university, like how we had a homecoming. So our seniors will come to the school nicely dressed, and then when you talk to them or when you speak to them, this person will say that, oh, I'm in Legon. This person will say that I'm in tech. This person will say I'm in UCC. This person will say I'm reading medicine. Another person will say I'm doing nursing. And I felt it was nice. And so my school, when it got to our final year, we were all looking forward to go to the university because, we had people we could look up to. And so I feel like we should be able to mentor these girls. We should appear as a role model to these girls. We should talk to them. We should go to their schools, even in our communities. You can just gather one or two girls and talk to them, share your life story with them. inspire them, encourage them. And I think if we do this, even though we preach abstinence, these girls are not going to, some of them are not going to abstain. And so we need to encourage them that, yes, you are going to do it, but we need you to be in school and we need you to be like this person. We want you to do more than what person A is doing. And I think mentorship is the way forward. Secondly, as Memuna said, I think we need to implement comprehensive education on sexuality.
Are you bringing
Adolescent
that debate
reproductive
back,
health.
the comprehensive sex education?
Yes, and adolescent reproductive health. We
Okay.
need to implement it both in school and as Memuna said, she wished her parents started or her mother started that earlier. I think if we are able to educate these girls for them to know their body, they would be able to make the right decision concerning that. Because if these girls are not abstaining and they don't know when they are safe to have sex and when they are not safe to have sex, then that's where the issue is. So if they know when they are safe to have sex, I am sure that during that time, most of them will stay away from sex, and then the issue of teenage pregnancy will not be an issue. And I also think that we need to implement affordable, safe contraceptive to these girls, because I feel like some of them do not even know the various contraceptives available to them, especially those who are not ready or those who cannot abstain. So I feel that we need to also provide that. So basically, in the short term, mentorship, adolescent reproductive health, we need to do that. But then in the long term, I don't know if you want me to.
If I may, just a follow up, then I go to Memuna and then later I come to you for the long term. Mentorship. Who is to mentor the girls and how do we achieve that? I hear there's a lot. We need to mentor the girls. You even said that we need to. Who and who? Is it the old girls, like you cited, that should go back to their schools to mentor those girls? I mean, whether mixed school or single sex school, they would always have old girls. I mean, yeah, regardless. So when you say mentorship or mentorship from parents or from who is supposed to be doing the mentoring?
I think the mentoring, it can cut across. It can be anybody. It can even be a guy. I mean, it can be a man. It doesn't really, pardon?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It can really be a man. It doesn't really matter who the person is. It can be anybody. And I mean, if we can't go back to our various schools to mentor them, we can start in our community. I mean, when you walk on the streets, you see a lot of young girls on the streets. You can just get close to them and encourage them. I mean, anybody at all, we should be able to do it for them.
Is that what your organization also does? You mentor
Exactly,
young
that's
girls.
what we do.
Okay.
So I mobilize friends. I have friends who are also in the university who are working. I mean, who didn't get pregnant as teenagers. So we go to rural communities and then we talk to them. I mean, when they see them, they get happy. I mean, they get
Okay.
happy.
That's interesting. Keep doing that. Good job for Mother Ghana. Memuna, also for you in the short term, Comfort talks about mentorship, the comprehensive sex education, and also affordable, safe contraceptives that she talked about. In the short term, what do you think could be done to help address this problem?
Thank you very much. Well, I think in the short term, what can be done to help curb this or reduce it is responsible parenting encouraged, like responsible parenting encouraged, which I think is similar to mentorship. You see, I think the parents should try their best to be the way you would bring up your kids, how you would also behave as a parent would let your children look up to you. Example, when you are a mother, even when you are not wealthy, but then you are a trader, you are hardworking, your children know that you don't go and do some negative things to get the money. They look up to you. So everything starts from the scratch. It will help it more when we start from the scratch. So it's like, example, when you give birth to a baby, you don't expect the baby to start just walking. You just deliver that the baby starts walking. No, the baby would have to start sitting. Okay, then it goes on to standing. It's gradual. So I think there should be responsible parenting, like encouraged among our mothers, like our mothers, yes. And also, I think, we have an extended family support. But I think now it's reducing. Like everyone is focusing on the immediate family, like the nuclear family. Now we don't care about the extended family no more. Okay, I feel we can go back, especially to the single parents. Extended family can help a single parent, at least to be able to raise her child. Okay, so in short term, I think also about a contraceptives. Yeah, contraceptives. It is very clear that most youth, like the teenagers, because they don't really have much knowledge, or even their reading ability is not that good, and their understanding, they don't even know how to use contraceptives. So it's best they are being taught. We know abstinence, those who have not started. You can't force those who have started not to do it. You get me? You can help them, you can talk to them to stop, but how sure are we they will abstain? So far as you started, it is very difficult to stop. So the best thing is to teach them, educate them on how to use these contraceptives and all that. Okay. And those who have not even started, we can try helping them abstain from it by indulging some kind of fear that comes when you get pregnant and when you deliver and all that. That's fear in a like in an intensive way, but then in a lighter note, we have to talk to them one-on-one and all that. So far in a short term, I think those are my points.
All right. Thank you very much. So pretty much similar, but you emphasize more also on the responsible parenting that is key here. So I come back to you, Comfort, to hear your view on the long term as we about to wrap up the show. But one message again from Eric also, who says that reproductive health education must also be intensified in our educational system. We must also accept the fact that these teenagers have strong desire for sex at this critical period in their life. And we preaching abstinence from sex always has not done the trick for us as a nation. Though very controversial, I think we must also start preaching the use of condoms by those who cannot abstain from the sex in order to save them from pregnancies, and also to save them from other sexually transmitted diseases. I know how controversial this position is, looking at the conservative nature of our society, but that's the way to go if we want to end the upsurge in teenage pregnancy. So he emphasizes the points that have been raised here by our wonderful guest. The fact that, yes, as we look at training up the kids in the way they should go, we should also provide these comprehensive sex education for them to be able to understand their cycle, as has been mentioned, but also condoms and contraceptives for them to be able to use to have a healthy sex life. So the long term, what's the way forward, Comfort?
The long term, I think we need to, in the long term, we need to bring these girls back to school. So I feel like we need a government, we need NGOs like Love Child Foundation, we need individuals like you, Limuna, we need corporate bodies to support like girls who are pregnant. And then we need to follow up on them and encourage them and bring them back to school as soon as they deliver. And if they are not willing to come back to school and they are even interested in vocational training, of which my foundation does, we train teenage mothers who are not ready to go back to school with vocational skills. I think we can also do that, and they would be able to, support themselves and their children as well as their family with the vocational training as well. So in a long term, I think in conclusion, we need to bring these girls back to school as soon as possible after
Right, thank you
teenage.
very much. So in the long term, you see more from a structural point of view where different institutions, NGOs, government, and other civil society groups should all come together to be able to help address this problem. What about you, Memuna?
Okay, so my point in the long term is um, for the government being able to design and implement some strict preventive programs, okay, into the system. I feel mostly when the teenagers get pregnant, sometimes when they go to the police stations and I think the courts and all that, we don't see the follow-ups. Like we don't know what's happened next. We don't know how they ended it. Okay, so we need like laws that will be implemented, that will be designed and implemented to what check all these things. And I think we've missed one thing. So I'm saying that guys or boys should be included, like give school, because men are those who end up impregnating the women. So they are not getting the education. I feel like we've excluded them in everything we do when we talk about teenage pregnancy, but it is very, very vital. So as my colleague also said about bringing them back to school, yes, it's very true. But sometimes there are a little difficulties they face. You see, when they finish this, when they become pregnant and then they give birth, they feel like most of them don't want to go to school. So they would have to. So some parents get angry and all that. If you're not careful, your child will not go back to school again. Because if a parent like, no, you'd have to go back to school, and the child feels like, no, like I'm mature, so I can't go back to school. I'm shy. We have these vocational schools and all that. And we, Lola, ladies of Lee, encourage that we are more focused on entrepreneurship building and community development. Okay, so we even having a program that will be geared towards beads making, which will empower women. So we do like with almost like the all categories of women. So we organizations such as mine and my other colleague, we are available for women or teenagers who need help. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. And perhaps later my concluding remark will be the fact that men should be included in the fight against teenage pregnancy. Some might not like the word fight or war or whatever, but we need to address this problem. Because you brought in your foundation, quickly, just a minute for both of you. What do you do? How can people get in touch with your foundation? Just give us some brief details about the foundation and how people could get in touch if they would want to support or be part of the foundation. Comfort.
Okay, so about what we do, basically we go to rural communities to encourage our young girls to stay in school. So the issue of teenage pregnancy and adolescent reproductive health, it's something we are much particular about, and as well as training teenage mothers with vocational skills like feeding, food making, and all that. So if you want to be part of this team to fight teenage pregnancy and also empower our young girls, you can follow our page, Love Child Foundation, on Facebook as well as Instagram, or you can follow me on Facebook, Ekejewa, and Instagram, Kampotejewa, or you can just send a private message to me, and then we'll have a conversation from there. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So over to you, our fellow viewers. I call them the Sepsirians. Love Child Foundation. You can follow her on Facebook, Ekia Ejewa, on Instagram, Comfort Ejewa. You can private message her and she will take it from there. But don't forget to include young men in your training and education against this teenage pregnancy. Memuna, what about you? What do you guys do? Brief details, how you could be contacted.
Okay, thank you very much. So, Ladies of Liberty Alliance, our goal is to encourage and support females to stay engaged with libertarian philosophy, and promote liberty to new audiences. Okay, and through leadership opportunities and training, that's what we do. So we are geared towards just empowering women, and we engage in talks. We recently had a talk at the Accra College on sexual abuse. So we recently also had a cleanup exercise at the Nima Runabout, which is about community development, as I mentioned. So like all women, no matter your age, you can join us. So far as you started education, at least age 16 there, like to above, you are welcome to our organization. We would really help you. We have like discussions on our pages too. So you can reach out to me on Facebook, Ladies of Liberty Alliance Ghana. We are on Instagram and Twitter. But then you can call me too on my number 024-505-2371 if you want to join us. You will not regret it. Yeah.
So thank you very much again. So over to you, Ladies of the Liberty Alliance. They are more into empowering women. You can contact the CEO, Memuna Rabiu, on Facebook, on Instagram, and on Twitter. You could also call her on her cell phone, 0245-052371. Please call her to discuss women empowerment. Other than that, hold your peace. See, before I leave you, ladies, just one question here from Aki Mensa. He says, the issue has been bothering me for a long time. What are your takes on schools and training institutions preventing girls who unfortunately get pregnant from writing their final exams? I don't know whether this is still the case in Ghana. Anyway, what are your takes in preventing girls from writing their exams who are pregnant? Comfort again.
I think they should be allowed to write their exams. As I said earlier, in the long term, we hope to bring these girls back to school, or we want them to continue their education. So if you are preventing them from writing their DEC or their SSC, or I mean their WASI, then it means that they can't move from one stage to the other. So I think that they should be allowed to write their exams. But I feel I don't know the reason why they don't allow them, but I feel like they are also trying to sort of prevent or avoid peer pressure, because if you get pregnant and we allow you to come to school, then like everybody is going to get pregnant and they will all be allowed to come to school. And so I feel like probably that's the reason why they don't allow that. But for the exams, especially their final exams, I feel they should be given the opportunity to write the exams.
Okay. All right. Very well. Thank you. I probably will not ask Memuna to comment on this because I just got a response from Eric that this practice has been stopped. So which means that women who get pregnant usually are allowed to write their final
That's good.
exams. And Memuna, also don't forget to include men in your empowerment, because you brought up this very important point that men should be included in the fight against teenage pregnancy. And so in your outreach, don't forget also to educate men on some of these dangers and the implications that we have. I think that if we all forge ahead together and with a common goal, we'll be able to bring or reduce teenage pregnancies that we have in Ghana. So thank you very much. Our guest has been Comfort Ejiwa and Memuna Rabiu. I am Evans Apia Kisi, the host of SEPSA Talk. Please do make time with us next week for another interesting discussion on SEPSA Talk. Until then, let us all help to reduce teenage pregnancy. And I think mentorship is key, responsible parental control, and also the comprehensive sex education should be intensified. And together, I think that will build a better society for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.